I chose to do my practicum in Plano, Texas at the Plano Public Library. This is my local library and the library I would love to work in when I graduate. Plano, Texas has a population of 281,566 people and is located approximately 20 miles north of Dallas, Texas. It is a thriving, ever-growing city with many large corporations such as Toyota of North America, Ericsson, and Alliance Data Systems, all residing in Plano. Many colleges and universities, such as the University of Northern Texas, Texas Women's University, and Collin County College, have a campus in Plano or a short drive away. Plano has a wonderful mix of multiple cultures that add to the cosmopolitan nature of the city. There are many restaurants and activities surrounding a large number of cultures all throughout Plano. Plano is repeatedly voted the top city to live in and has a highly competitive education system where families tend to move to become part of Plano's schools. Plano Public Library has 5 branches located throughout Plano, and each having its own unique makeup, but still being part of the one large system. The 5 branches are Haggard, Harrington, Parr, Davis, Schimmelpfennig, and not one branch is further than 20 minutes from my house with traffic. Parr, Davis, and Harrington all have a 3D printer, and Haggard and Parr have a digital creation space. The digital creation space has a green screen, special software for artists and musicians, along with other special equipment such as a VR headset, recording devices, cameras, and a whole lot more. Haggard Library is special because it has a thriving genealogy center. The center is known across northern Texas as the place to be for genealogy research and local records. This section houses many volumes of research materials, but also historical maps, community cookbooks, and other items in their special collections. Both Harrington Library and Schimmelpfennig are considered a family place designation. This means that they were given a grant to become part of a national network of libraries that provide programs and create an environment that help family learn to nurture their child's development and early learning. These family place libraries partner with local agencies and professionals to help parents of young children build foundations for early learning. Professionals from speech therapy to WIC come and help families connect with others and with different resources in the community. The Family Place Libraries model is now in over 400 libraries in 29 states, serving thousands of young children and their parents and caregivers. And Plano is proud to be part of this wonderful designation. I first started my practicum at one of the central branches, the Davis Library, and it was just a few minutes from my home. After a wonderful welcome, my supervisor sat with me and discussed my goals. I wanted to get as much experience as I could, speak with librarians in the field, and connect with patrons. She suggested I go through the library's program guide and mark the programs that I might want to be a part of. We then went back and scheduled my days around the programs, making sure I was able to visit every building. Luckily, I was able to work at all 5 branches where I was able to feel each one's personality. Davis Library has the largest portion of world languages in the collection. Some of the language covered is Urdu, Hindi, Chinese, and many other. This is also the busiest location because it's centrally located and easily able to get to from surrounding towns that utilize our reciprocal card usage. Harrington Library is another location, and it's known for its homeless visitors and patrons, along with lower income housing. Schimmelpfennig has an older population, while Parr Library has the most after-school tutors. Thankfully, because of my LIS 545 class, Sources of Information for a Multicultural Society, I was able to see many of the topics that I covered in class happening right in front of me at many of the different branches. I had the opportunity to work on 3 major projects during my practicum. One project that lasted my entire stay was several small weeding projects. I had learned about weeding during my LIS 411 class, Collection and Development, so it was wonderful getting hands-on experience. I worked on music CDs, DVDs, and adult fiction. Low circulation lists were provided for me, and I examined each one of the items for condition. Once weeded from the stacks, I withdrew the item from the system and marked many for the Friends of the Library sale. The others were marked for removal because their conditions were too damaged for the sale. Another project I worked on was updating the STEAM kits. I'm pretty passionate about everything STEM, so this project was right up my alley. Plano Public Library has over 100 STEAM kits for preschool through adult, from topics that cover calligraphy and brush lettering, along with macrame, to a makey kit. These kits contain hands-on items that have relevant items inside the kit relevant to the topic. There are usually a few books, DVDs on the topic, and then activities like building a catapult for the Simple Machines kit, or even learning to play the ukulele with a ukulele included. All of these kits are spread amongst the 5 locations, and it was my job to update the kits at the Davis branch. All kits had to have the new logo and updated checked out terms. All stickers had to be removed and updated and new ones replaced. Once I finished, all of the kits now looked uniform. Another great opportunity I was given was updating literature pamphlets for patrons on early literacy. I researched the topic on how to focus early literacy through reading, writing, play, talk, and song. This was another wonderful opportunity to relate to some of my studies to hands-on experience. I was able to observe and help with many story times where these literacy tips were talked about and then modeled to the parents. I will earn a certificate in youth services and literature while earning my MLIS, so I was able to gain an experience that I'll utilize in the future role as a librarian. During my practicum, I spent a lot of time helping at the reference desk. I really had an advantage over other new employees since I was already a huge fan of the library and an active patron as well. Many patrons would ask where certain parts of the collections were located, and I could easily walk them over to where they needed to be. Many other questions were new to me, so those questions I had to learn from the librarian side. One of the things I did learn how to do was assist patrons setting up a new library card, along with help with printing and using some of the library's databases. I always had assistance from other staff members, but I became pretty self-sufficient most of the time. Some of my downtime was spent shelving books and pulling hold for patrons. In Plano's library system, library support staff usually do these tasks, not the librarians, but I did get a lot out of doing these duties. I was able to pay attention to the Dewey Decimal System and make connections with my cataloging and classification class. When a patient would ask, "Where are the cookbooks?" or "I'm looking for books on learning to speak Spanish," I could easily walk them to the right Dewey numbers. I got very familiar with call numbers, making me once again feeling like a real librarian. One major thing I learned when pulling holds for patrons was finding out which titles were the most popular. I could see a pattern of repeated titles, knowing which ones were checked out a lot. This was great to compare my weeding of adult fiction to the list of the ones that were going out all the time. I had such an amazing time during my practicum. Within a couple of days of my practicum, I felt like I was meant to be there. I fit in so seamlessly that I felt that I was immediately part of the team. After my 3rd week there, I was offered a job by the director of the library and then again by the library support staff manager. I was extremely flattered, but as a mom with 3 kids and a full-time student, I didn't want to take on too much, so I kindly apologized and said, "Not now, but please remember me in a year and a half." Both the director and manager said anytime I applied, I should just contact them so that they could bump my resume to the top. I couldn't have been more proud. I had another wonderful experience while working at the Plano Public Library. One morning when I came in, the director called all the staff together because he had an announcement. Unbeknownst to me, one patron that I had helped with had wrote the library letting them know my name and what a wonderful interaction she had. Surprisingly, another patron had wrote the city to tell of her wonderful experience at the library that included me as well. The director said it was rare for a patron to write about a good experience, and to have 2 patrons write about me in a short amount of time was something truly to be proud of. My manager was equally impressed and suggested I keep the paperwork to put in my portfolio. When my practicum finally came to an end, I was sad to go. The staff I worked with had a card and flowers waiting for me on my last day. I sure hoped they would remember me when it was time for me to apply for a job. I couldn't have asked for a better environment to learn and grow in. I was taken under everyone's wing, but also given the freedom to explore and work independently. After my practicum, I decided to add both the youth services and literature, along with the archives and special collection certificates, to my MLIS because of the experiences I had at the Plano Public Library. I knew that I wanted to learn as much as I could and have the kind of education that would lay a wonderful foundation for my future job in this library system.